media, they see the wins. But let's talk a little bit about before y'all was having the big wins, like a little bit of the struggle. I know your first business actually burned down.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? This is a full circle moment because my first radio interview was with you.
Yes. Give it up for DJ.
My first radio interview.
First radio.
Looking crazy coming off the
She brought me that burger. I was like, oh no now.
Looking crazy, tired. But,
and then look at us now.
Right.
We waiting on it. We stay
right.
in the
It's
moment.
like crack now. Yeah, gotta have it.
It wasn't easy for me. I always been an entrepreneur and a hustler. For the people who don't know my story, my father did 22 years in prison. So I grew up in the prison system. Obviously, I wasn't behind bars, but I had to go to prison and get swaddled down every single time we went to see my dad. You only got 2 hours. So, like, my mindset was like, this ain't my life. I ain't going to do this. So I became an entrepreneur. And as young as 14, I'm throwing parties. I'm selling food. I'm selling candy. And then I got older and had my own restaurant called Pinky's Jamaican and American Restaurant. And that restaurant was seemingly successful, but I was hustling backwards,
That was in New York, right?
That was in New York City. Because I was vegan and vegetarian at the time, but I was selling jerk chicken, so I wasn't being authentic with who I was, right? So
you weren't living in your truth.
I was not living in my truth, right? Yeah. And this is such a serious conversation for people to understand, especially entrepreneurs that are listening to this. You have literally got to walk in your truth, because if you don't, it will literally fall apart, and that's what happened to me. Fact. But I'm so glad it happened that I lost my car, I got repoed, I got kicked out of my apartment, I went flat broke, and I literally, everything that I ever touched that used to turn to gold literally was nothing now. But I needed all of those things to happen because all it was very expensive school. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So that expensive school taught me how to be a better entrepreneur, how to be a better leader, so that when I create a vegan, I'm like, all right, I've been here before. I know what this feels like. I know what to do different. So the journey has not always been easy. Most times people be like, oh, y'all overnight success. Overnight where?
Right.
Overnight where?
The finished product.
Everybody
see the finished product.
Where my wages got garnished, where I had tax issues, right? Where I was on the verge of being about to close. Like, this shit ain't for the weak. And being a restaurateur is probably one of the hardest professions in the world. One, because restaurants don't last, right?
Yeah,
two, because you got to be a babysitter, you got to be a therapist, right? You got to take care of people, make sure everybody is good, and still maintain your sanity, all while paying bills. Like, that ain't no joke. So to have to go through all of that is very difficult, but the reward is so much greater on the other side, because I would not have it any other way. Yeah.